Hello and welcome to another Steps of Sussex live chat. Let me just adjust this camera because you can't see all of me in the shot. So hello and welcome. I hope you've all had a really good past couple of days. I hope you are staying safe. This camera is not quite right, is it? Hang on, let's just make sure we're ready. Right, I think we are just about in shot now. So, today's video, obviously this is a live chat, so I will be answering as many questions as I possibly can. And we're going to go through a story that has come out today. Now, as we know, the royal reporters like to get a royal story out on lots of different royals, including Harry and Meghan, for a Sunday. This week is no exception. It's Sunday today, and we do have a new Harry and Meghan story. This one is courtesy of Emily Andrews, who writes for the Daily Mail, if you did not know. And she has a new series of claims regarding Frogmore Cottage. And obviously Harry and Meghan's decision to pay back the money that was spent on the refurbishments. I said that I would give you an update when one was available. Now, one seems to be available, and what I want to try and do today is to make sense of it, because I've read it, I've pre-read the article, and some of it makes sense, some of it seems wildly off the mark. In fact, there are parts of the article where Emily Andrews actually contradicts herself. So I want to kind of, work our way through it. And I will say at the start of this that there hasn't been any official palace confirmation of this story. Harry and Meghan haven't issued a spokesperson to say whether it's true or not. These are claims by Emily Andrews. So I'm going to read it and go through it and hopefully kind of dissect it, make sense of it, and hopefully that will help people before all the stories start coming out and people start putting loads of opinion as fact and all the rest of it. So, at last, oh, by the way, there is so much shade in this article, which I will point out all of the shade, just in case you weren't able to notice the shade yourselves. It's quite obvious. It's blaringly obvious shade. So, at last! Exclamation mark. Harry and Meghan are paying us back for Frogmore, but it will take years as they hand over £18,000 a month for rent and first repayments on the 2.4 million renovations. Right, so first of all, let's look at the headlines. So, 2.4 million was the cost that was accounted for. So it did cost 2.4 million to renovate. But the claim that they are going to pay to hand over £18,000 a month, we'll look at that in a little while. Now, there is lots of shade. The first sentences are all about the peonies that were planted, one of Meghan's favourite flowers. And it says that the house and gardens are being perfectly maintained by staff, which I think is probably true. I mean, obviously, if it's being retained as an official UK base for the Duke and Duchess, it will be officially maintained. It won't be left to go to any kind of rack and ruin. Now, it shades Harry and Meghan by, obviously talking about where they're staying at the moment in a £14.5 million mansion. Now, it does make the claim that they are living at Tyler Perry's mansion rent-free, which we do not know. That, you can't make a claim of that nature because we don't know. As far as I'm aware, Tyler Perry hasn't come out and revealed the arrangements that he has made with Harry and Meghan, whether they are living there as guests or whether they are paying rent. I don't really think Emily Andrews will probably be party to that knowledge. So I don't really think that she can make that claim that she has made there. But anyway, again, the shade. When they made their decision to remove themselves from royal duties, actually, they didn't. It was always part of Harry and Meghan's initial plan that they wanted to still work on behalf of the Queen. It turned out, it transpired that was not possible. That idea of earning your own money away from the royal family and then still working for the royal family representing the Queen and country was proven to not work. It wasn't workable in reality. So that's what happened. And it carries on that one point of contention was the 2.4 million of taxpayers' money that had been spent on renovating the Grade 2 listed cottage. Well, of course, it was a bone of contention for the press because those are the ones who made it a big issue. Now, it says, although Harry offered to repay the cost as part of the, and it uses the Megxit word, Megxit arrangements, officials were baffled at how he could ever do so. Again, I see lots of shade because, as we know, Harry has his own personal wealth. He has his inheritance from his mother, his late mother, Diana. He also inherited quite a bit of inheritance from the Queen Mother when she passed away. And also, it said that Harry offered to repay the cost, almost as if what they're trying to say is Meghan doesn't have enough money to pay back. It's Harry. Harry's the one with the money to pay back. And as we know, Meghan came into the royal family independently wealthy. Probably, I would probably say, the most independently wealthy royal bride that has come into the royal family for probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So, again, lots and lots and lots of shade, but also doubting how they can pay it, when actually they could pay a lump sum because they have the money there to pay a lump sum. So I don't think anybody actually doubted that they could pay back the money. So perhaps only Emily Andrews doubted that they could pay back the money. But anyway, but now the Mail on Sunday can reveal that it has been quietly arranged for the couple to start paying rent on the property, which began apparently last month. Now again, I will stress that we do not know if this is true. There hasn't been a spokesperson come out to say that it's true or not true. The Sussexes haven't commented on it. The Palace hasn't commented on it. These are claims which Emily Andrews is making from sources which she says are in the know. So let's just bear that in mind. So this is where Emily Andrews starts to contradict herself. So Meghan and Harry are now paying just shy of £18,000 a month to keep Frogmore as their official British base. It's being described as a rental plus agreement in which they pay more than what the commercial rate would be, enabling them to pay down those building costs with the excess. And it says, where does it mention the 11 years? Yeah, it mentions, oh, here we go. Yet it would take more than 11 years of payments at the current monthly level to cover the 2.4 million without accounting for interests or running costs of the cottage. There's no denying Frogmore needed the work. Right, well, I don't think anyone can deny Frogmore needed the work. But let's just do a little bit of maths. Maybe Emily Andrews didn't have a calculator, but £18,000 a month. Now, in my year, there are 12 months of the year. So if you times £18,000 a month by 12, and then you times that figure by 11, you get in the region of about 1.4 million. So you aren't going to cover the 2.4 million in 11 years and also pay rent on top of that as well. It just doesn't make sense. The figures that she is putting out there, that she's purporting to know, do not make sense. They do not add up. So I did a little bit more maths. I think more likely just to cover the 2.4 million over 11 years, and I'm using the number of years that Emily Andrews is using in the article, you'd need to pay, I think, about £20,000 a month to cover the 2.4 million over 11 years. But also, that doesn't take into account any rent on top of that. Now, rent in the Frogmore area, I had a look on all of my property website apps and all things like that here in the UK. I was trying to find a comparable as to how much a property of similar size, similar amount of bedrooms would cost in the Windsor area. And I have to say, there isn't really a comparable. The rental properties are often semi-detached. their apartments. But even then, they are still commanding £1,600 a month, £3,000 a month. I think for a 4-bedroom townhouse, it was something like £3,500 a month. Frogmore is detached. It's in the middle of a secluded, Windsor Great Park. It has security. It has gardens. It's big. I mean, it's not overly big, but it's big. There isn't a comparable out there at that market rent. So I would probably say true market rent, if you were actually going to rent this out, would probably be in the region of £7,000 to £10,000 a month. So, basing it on the figures that Emily Andrews is putting out, and what I probably would expect a real rental value to be on a property like Frogmore Cottage, you would expect Harry and Meghan to actually be paying back, if this is what they were doing, in the range of about, I would probably say, £30,000 a month over 11 years. And 11 years seems a bit of a weird figure anyway, because most people, if they have a mortgage, for example, would take about 20 years, 25 years to pay that back. So it just seems, the whole story seems a little bit odd. So I'm not quite sure that the figures in the article are correct. I don't even know if the article itself is correct. Now, Emily does state that yes, the property had fallen into a big, massive state of disrepair. If you recall, it was actually split, divided into 5 different compartments for staff accommodation. So Harry and Meghan were originally offered the big Kensington Palace apartment next door to William and Catherine. They looked at the cost of how much it would take to renovate the Kensington Palace apartment, and also the cost of Frogmore, but also the timescale. The Kensington Palace apartment was probably not going to be ready until about now. So it would mean them staying pretty much in small accommodation at Nottingham Cottage for almost a year and a half, which I don't think was going to be very, very good for Harry and Meghan. So they chose the cheaper, quicker option of Frogmore Cottage. Now, as we know, these are grace and favour properties. They are often given to members of the royal family who are working full-time, working members of the royal family, as almost like a gift from the nation to the royals for their lifetime of service and dedication, or expected lifetime of service and dedication. I did read a comment, and I wanted to address this comment. Someone in one of the previous videos said about William and Catherine with Anne Mahal. Now, Anne Mahal is not part of the Crown Estates. So yes, William and Catherine have 2 homes. They have an official base at Kensington Palace, which we know is the big, 25, 26 room apartment that cost over 4.5 million to renovate way back when, just after they got married. They also have a country property, which was a private gift from the Queen, that is called Anne Mahal, and it sits on the Queen's private Norfolk estate of Sandringham. So that was not renovated. Anne Mahal was not renovated by Crown Estate money, by public money. So that's kind of out of the equation there. Harry and Meghan settled on Frogmore Cottage, which they said was going to be their only home, their only base. So obviously, after their decision to step back as full-time working royals, there was no obligation, there's no legal obligation for Harry and Meghan to pay back anything. I mean, you could perhaps maybe make a case to pay rent, but certainly in terms of renovation costs, it is owned by the Crown Estate, therefore, owned in trust by the Queen for the nation. So there is no legal obligation for them to pay it back, but I think Harry and Meghan's logic in offering to pay it back was to avoid any unnecessary press criticism, but also to make a clean break. Now, this is where I'm not quite sure about things. So, if they decided, obviously, to pay back the money, let's just say that they wanted to pay it back in a big lump sum. I would probably have expected that to come with a big, long lease. Very much in the way that Prince Andrew has a really big, long lease on Royal Lodge, that Prince Edward has a really, really long lease on Bagshot Park. Now, Prince Andrew paid, I think it was in the region of about 7.5 million to refurbish the Crown Estate property of Royal Lodge. But that came with a 150-year lease on the property. Similarly, Prince Edward, shortly after marriage, paid, I think, £15,000 a month whilst the property was being renovated. That cost something like, I think it was three million. And then obviously Prince Edward paid £5 million to get a 150-year lease on the property. Oh yeah, no, sorry. I think Prince Andrew's lease is 75 years. It's Prince Edward who has 150-year lease, which kind of feels like a good deal because, they have got a home for themselves, for their lifetime, and they've got a home for their children and their children's families should they wish to all kind of live together. It's almost like an investment. And also the nation doesn't lose out in terms of cost. So there is lots of precedent within the royal family to pay back renovation costs, but also to pay lump sums of money for a big, long lease. Now, I would have expected Harry and Meghan, if they were going to pay 2.4 million for the renovation cost of Frogmore Cottage, for that to come with a big, long, chunky lease, which in my view would actually be a really good investment for the Sussexes because they would have a home for life if it came with, a 150-year lease, but also it would be a home security for Archie should he wish to live in it within the UK at some point in his future. A 150-year lease would do that. So I'm a little bit surprised that, for a start, they haven't paid it all off in one big lump. But that may be because they may be thinking that they need the money that they do have to buy somewhere in LA, which kind of makes a little bit more sense to kind of spread the cost over a number of years back in the UK. But also, it kind of shows to me, if this is true, that the Sussexes do have an intention of still coming back to the UK at certain points, because why would you take on a big monthly cost if you weren't going to live there? In fact, the easiest thing to do would be to say, right, well, we're not going to live in Frogmore Cottage at all. We return it back to the Crown Estates, and the Crown Estates can do with it as they wish. They can give it to another royal family member, or they could rent it out at market value to a member of the public, or they could do whatever they wanted to with it. So if it is true that they are still paying it back over a number of years, if this story is true, then it shows that they do actually have an intention of still having a base here in the UK that they are going to return to. Now, in the great scheme of things, the 2.4 million isn't going to be a great issue, because as soon as Harry and Meghan start earning money through the various different ways in which they are eventually going to be able to make money, 2.4 million is going to be a drop in the ocean. £18,000, £30,000 a month is going to be a drop in the ocean of what they will be able to afford. They will probably be able to really easily afford to keep Frogmore Cottage as a UK base here in the UK, and also have a home stateside, wherever it is in LA or wherever that they choose to eventually settle down and make a permanent home and a permanent base. I mean, again, the article goes on about, how Meghan's decorated Frogmore Cottage, or reportedly decorated Frogmore Cottages, how long Harry and Meghan have stayed in the UK in the last 6 months. It also aims lots of shade over Harry and Meghan's decision to stay at Tyler Perry's mansion by saying that Frogmore Cottage has all the security and privacy, whereas Tyler Perry's mansion can be viewed by long range from a mountain that people can fly drones over. And we did actually see some examples of possibly drone footage. Now, there were some pictures, some paparazzi pictures, posted online, published in US press, where Harry was actually on the Tyler Perry property with their dogs, and he had a dog ball sling, and he was papped by long lens, or it could have even been a drone. There was also pictures. It looked like it was kind of peering from behind a column, and the column was actually on the balcony, on one of the balconies overlooking the pool. Now, when I looked, and by the way, there was lots of shade thrown by various YouTube channels saying that Harry and Meghan had leaked the photos themselves. When I looked, I actually found Tyler Perry's mansion on Google Maps, and I looked where that balcony would be, and actually there is a car park that is just a little bit to the side. So what a lot of these channels didn't show you, or didn't tell you, didn't choose to tell you, was that there was actually a car park. And I do believe it's a public car park. So if a reporter or a paparazzi were to park there and then have a drone that goes up to take the pictures, I actually believe those pictures were taken by a drone. And that's how they got there. Now, I don't know. People were telling me that there are laws about flying drones over private properties in LA. So if those laws do exist, I haven't investigated them, but if those laws are in existence, then obviously somebody has broken the laws, because they've parked up, they've flown a drone, and they've taken pictures in the garden of Tyler Perry's mansion, showing, of course, Harry playing with the dog. And we know that there have been screens put up to protect them from the mountain view, but I still think that people are, or paparazzi are flying drones over. Also, certain YouTube channels have been showing inside Tyler Perry's mansion from previous photos. I chose not to do that because I don't think that that's the right thing to do. I think that is a real invasion of privacy, so I chose not to do that. Some channels are doing anything for clicks and views. I refuse to do that. Unless, of course, Harry and Meghan put out pictures of themselves with lots of the house in the background. That's okay. They have chosen to do that if they do. Almost like if you remember when President Obama visited William and Catherine put out some photos inside Kensington Palace with Obama, and Harry was there, and William and Catherine were there. Obama was there, obviously. So we got to see a glimpse inside the home. That was okay. I was perfectly fine with talking about that and showing that, because that is what they had put out there with their consent. But as far as I'm aware, Harry and Meghan and Tyler Perry have not given their consent to see inside the property, to invade the privacy. So I refuse to do that. I won't do that. So you aren't going to see any of that here on this channel. And then the article just goes on, blah, 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 about different things. Friends talking about the interior of Frogmore Cottage, saying it's all very White Company. Now, if you don't know, the White Company in the UK is a really nice kind of interior decor business. You can order online. My mother has ordered bed linen from the White Company, so I'm very familiar with the brand. It is very clean lines and neutral colours. So if it is to be believed that that is how Meghan and Harry have decorated Frogmore Cottage, then it's actually very, very nice. It is very clean and all of that. So, yeah, it just kind of goes on and on and on. Then it goes on about American citizenship and about Archie spending more time, away from England, blah, 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 blah. And there are, I think, 1.2 thousand shares and lots of comments. Should you dare to venture into the article depths, the bowels of the article. So yeah, what is my opinion on that article? Well, first of all, I would like to know where Emily Andrews has got that from. Who are the sources? I think one of the things that everyone needs to look at when we're looking at this is, who are the sources? And she hasn't really clearly, as far as I can see, I'm just scrolling down now, she hasn't really clearly given any indication as to where. All she says is the Mail on Sunday can reveal that it's been quietly arranged. So there is no mention of how they've actually got that information. So we do need to take that with a pinch of salt. Also, like I've just shown, the figures don't add up. £18,000 a month over 11 years does not add up to 2.4 million plus rent on top. And I've already spoken about how much. Oh, by the way, a typical rent on I think I looked at a. Did I say about a 3 or 4 bedroom property is about £3,500, £4,000 a month. So, you'd be expected then to pay back on that about 30,000 a month over 11 years to cover rent and the renovation costs. So I'm not entirely sure. Also, maybe there could be a little bit of logic in maybe in the future returning to England to be royal again. I mean, you cannot completely 100% discount it. When Charles becomes king, I'm not talking about maybe now whilst we have Queen Elizabeth on the throne, but maybe in the future when Charles is king, maybe there will be a bit of a pull in terms of Harry in particular, where Harry might want to eventually come back and kind of support his father. We can't discount that there may be a bit of a draw for Harry to come back, support his father. And if that's the case, then, if they paid 2.4 million up front, it might be more economical to them to kind of, wait 10, 11 years, see how things go. We don't know when Charles is going to become king. We don't know when Queen Elizabeth's reign is going to be over. But, if she lives as long as what her mother did, it probably will be about, 10, 11 years, so to speak. All being well, of course, before Charles becomes king. So there could be a little bit of, hedging your bets a little bit on what's financially, better, what's financially best. We don't know. So yeah, I'm a little bit uneasy about the whole article. I don't know how true it is. But if it is true, that is a really interesting development that I didn't see coming. It never crossed my mind that they might pay this rental plus kind of scheme, I suppose. So let me know, what do you think about it? And I'm sure you will do. I'm sure you will all let me know exactly what you think in the comments section. So I'm going to go now and load up the page where I can see your comments. Let me just load it. Hang on just a second while I do that, because I can't seem to find my refresh button. Where is my refresh button? Hang on. Right. Okay, I'm refreshing. Here I am. Right, I'm finally here. Right, I've got the chat room open, so hello and welcome. Apparently we have 355 people watching. Hopefully, I'm hoping that I've dissected that article enough to help you try and make some kind of sense of it. Right, I can see lots and lots and lots of people here in the room. Oh, I don't know where to start. Where shall I start with all the comments? There's been loads. Maria, I'll start with Maria, right down the bottom of the comments, who says, I believe the Sussexes will buy a home in England. They will establish themselves very separate from the royal family. I also looked at properties to buy in the Windsor area, and there are some really nice properties. You can get a really decent property for 1.6 million. You can get a 1.6 million townhouse a stone's throw away from Windsor Castle and Frogmore Cottage, where they are now. But it doesn't offer the privacy, seclusion. It's on a main road. So you can buy property. You can also buy, country estates. For example, in the area where I am in Shropshire, you can get a big country estate for 1.5 million. So that there are options available for them to buy a property of their own here in the UK. But none of them will technically offer, I don't think, the seclusion and privacy and protection that Frogmore offered, which is why I think one of the reasons Harry and Meghan chose to go there in the first instance. Angela says, why is she reporting on Harry and Meghan? I thought the royal reporters stated they were not relevant. Why are the royal reporters complaining about their expenses in the States? It was because of royal reporters Harry and Meghan left. I am not disagreeing with you at all. But don't forget, it's Sunday, and they always need a royal story to come out on Sunday to fill the headlines and the column inches, and, you know, to make the money. To make the money, that's what they do. Brenda says, I think this is all horse manure. I don't believe a word of it. Well, again, there has been no official comment on whether it's true or not. Nobody has confirmed or denied it. Alegna says, the mansion they are showing actually is Tyler Perry's mansion in Atlanta, Georgia. Is it? So are they in Atlanta, Georgia? Oh, you mean the ones, the website, or the royal, or do you mean what the YouTube channels are showing? Ah, well, even so, I don't really think it's good to show inside anyone's home without their express permission, or without them putting it out there in the first place. H. London says, those people in England who are so wound up about this need to get a life. They complain day after day. They are foolish. Most of the public are not bothered. I can honestly say most of the public are not bothered. It's only when the royal reporters, you know, whip up these kinds of headlines, and then you go into the comment section and you read trolls, and there are trolls from all over. But in fact, if you are brave enough to go and read the comments, there are lots of comments as well from other countries all around the world. Right. And I'm going to move on now to my next story, which hopefully will end this video on a nice positive, because I think it's always good to kind of end on a positive. So this is a story about Meghan's facialist. So this is the lady who looks after Meghan's skin while she was here in the UK, and helped pamper and get Meghan's skin ready for her wedding. She is a skincare expert called Sarah Chapman, and she's based in London here in the UK. Now, she has been speaking out about Meghan, and she has a lot of really kind, nice things to say about Meghan. So I'm going to end today's video on this, because I always think it's nice to end on something really positive. So she says, I feel really lucky to have built a great friendship with Meghan, the British beauty expert said, before explaining that the two truly bonded in the weeks leading up to the wedding. It was an amazing experience, and I really got to know her and the kind of person that she is. Kind, generous, inspiring, and always considering how she can help other people. She also said that I always left a session with Meghan feeling like I could change the world. That's the person she is. She explained, describing Meghan as selfless and with a strong desire to help people. So she said she wanted Meghan's skin to feel moisturised, nourished and bright for her special day. And she said, inner beauty shines through with people. You can see it in their skin. And if someone is radiating happiness and health, there's so much more to it than just skincare products. So there we go. She also said it felt like it was a time to say something. Things have changed, she said, of the couple's decision to relocate. So I think, you know, Sarah is obviously a really good and close friend of Meghan. And again, I think it's another example of one of Harry and Meghan's friends, wanting to set the record straight and show the true and real Meghan. So there we go. She says, through my work, I am fortunate to meet some incredible, interesting and inspirational people over the past 2.5 years. I feel honoured to have spent so much time with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So there we go. A really nice, positive story to end this video on. Let's see what people are saying. Tisha says, as always, thank you and enjoy your evening. It's kind of afternoon here in the UK, so I'm going to go off now. I've got lots of work to do. I need to finish recording and editing my weekly vlog, which goes out on Elliot and Matt's British Life. If you didn't know, I do a weekly vlog where I kind of show my life behind the scenes. It's Elliot and Matt's British Life here on YouTube, and I post a weekly vlog on every Monday at 7 p.m. GMT. So I need to go and finish filming and edit that video. Was there anything else I needed to talk about today? No, by the way, if you do have any more Frogmore Cottage comments or questions, that kind of thing, do leave them in the comment section. Again, please be very, very respectful of my social media rules. I don't want any conspiracy theories or anything of that nature. Those kind of comments will be deleted. But you can obviously still express your opinion, that is fine. But just leave out conspiracy theories, any hate towards other people, that kind of thing. I do want this channel to be a really safe space for everyone to come and enjoy. So, if you've enjoyed this video and found it anyway helpful in dissecting this kind of information, where we don't know one way or the other whether it's true or not, then please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and also do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. Also, please do remember to subscribe to the channel. So, from me in Shropshire, to you all, stay safe and goodbye.